So my name's Diane Kudo-Fouts. Thank you so much for including me on this call today. I really appreciate it. I've been in the mobility space, I started off with U.S. immigration over 24 years ago. I literally started doing U.S. immigration 3 weeks before 9/11. So for me, change is part of the role. Like Kristen, it's also part of the reason why I've been engaged in mobility for so long. You include people, there's always going to be different factors, even if you see the same case over and over again. So the reality is it's never the same day twice. And I've embraced it, right? Change is growth. So with that said, also like I'm a history major, so I look at it from a historical background and looking at it from the perspective of, okay, we knew last November that there was going to be a lot of change coming up this year. So I try to preemptively manage that change. I feel very blessed to be working for a company whose tagline is build for change. So everybody's already on board with that mindset. And then working within that mindset, learning what my barriers are. So like what the business is willing to do and how to maneuver within that business model for all of our employees in an equitable way. So remaining agile is, I think, is imperative to remain afloat in this changing time.
Well, just as my colleagues Diane and Kristen mentioned, on my side, I have been part of GMJ for a few years now. Always excited to be on these sessions. Have been doing mobility for over 20 years now. My younger self never expected to be here, except for I ran into mobility, as most of us did, by chance. And I've loved it. I absolutely love my job and the opportunities that it brings. I have been in different industries, different capacities, and now I am very blessed to be leading the function. What I have seen is that change, as we always hear, right? Change is constant, and so we cannot take it as a disruption. And with us, or for us that are in the mobility industry, change is actually a bridge into new possibilities. It's in a world where we are seeing how mobility defines opportunity, and people like me who started doing mobility in Mexico and now I'm based in the US. It brought for me my dream job, but also the opportunity for my family to continue to grow. It also has brought the business to a different capacity, ensuring that we have diversity, that we have different mindsets that embrace together. And so change is exactly that. And in our world where agile means being up to date every day, ensuring that change is not taking us by surprise, but really that we are riding the wave. Embracing that means shaping our futures and not necessarily chasing them.
My top tip would be to have a discussion before thinking of moving an assignee. Reach out to the global mobility team, discuss the logistics of moving that assignee, discuss immigration, discuss relocation, discuss tax implications. Quite often, discussions start without involving global mobility, and then global mobility are sort of contacted halfway through the process. And then it's, we run into issues all because we weren't aware. And then when we start providing the appropriate guidance and advice, and it's like, oh, and the teams that were working on this, there's a realization that, okay, maybe we shouldn't have done this. We should have notified global mobility first. So I would say the top tip is don't do anything without informing global mobility, because there are lots of challenges, complications, and compliance risks.
I'm working with Nokia at the moment in the position of Global Mobility Region Head for Americas. I've been in the industry for almost 12 years now, basically from the start of my career. I'm still passionate about the industry, so I can say future will certainly will be with global mobility too. What that future will look like, though, I hope we can together have a conversation about and shed some light on today. From my perspective, when I think about the future of global mobility, several forces come to my mind. From bigger topics like geopolitical challenges, how do shifting global dynamics impact where and how people move? To the way, of course, buzzwords AI could reshape our work. But beyond these bigger areas, I also see new questions emerging in our space. How new generations, millennials obviously, Gen Z growing, very soon Alpha 2, in a few years will be reshaping what international careers look like. We can already see employees expecting more choice, more purpose, more focus on well-being. So how can we deliver that while continuing or balancing cost and compliance at the same time as well? So a lot of questions in mind, but I'm curious what all you think as well, and I'm looking forward to hearing your perspectives in the brief.
We have definitely earned our seat at the table, especially the last several years where we've taken on new work, whether it's been remote work, business travel. I think to keep the seat at the table, we have to stay agile and innovative. I'm always looking for continuous improvement opportunities within my program that align to business objectives that will either improve employee experience or reduce cost. I'd also recommend collaborating across departments, ensuring that others are knowing the work that me and my team are doing. I think it's critical to bring them along on the journey. It's easy for us to get bogged down in a silo, and we're not doing ourselves any favors. I always recommend going on a roadshow and highlighting the great work that you're doing.
Thanks, Andy. I'm going to kick it off. And can you all believe it's December? I don't know about you, but to me, it feels we were just chatting with Sam and Andy. It feels like it was only yesterday we were wrapping up 2024. And what a year it's been. For sure, we've seen a lot of change and mobility is there happening. We're living and breathing it. We're seeing a lot of digitalization and new systems that are changing the way people move across borders and tools that promise efficiency and clarity, but they also challenge us to think differently about processes, responsibilities, and the experience we create for the people we support. We're also seeing a shift in migration eligibility roles and ongoing skill shortages. So employers need talent, countries need solutions, and our role sits right at the intersection. So how we navigate those paths and how flexible and forward-thinking they become, all those processes will define our success in the coming years. There's a lot to reflect on that, and I think there is a lot to come as well. Of course, mobility isn't just about work, it's also about other people. We've seen a lot of changes and involvement in family reunification rules. If you're in the UK, there is a lot of talk about the settlement scheme and the biggest change in 50 years. And these changes raise real questions about fairness, protection, and consistency. These aren't just abstract debates, they directly affect families, futures, and communities. And again, we're there to facilitate and decode those rules. And we're seeing also people moving, working remotely, and when people arrive, the journey just doesn't end. Integration and skill recognition is crucial. We all know we have talented individuals we partner with whose expertise doesn't neatly match local frameworks. So if we can close that gap, everyone benefits. So there we are again in that intersection to play a key role. And last but not least, as we reflect on 2025 and look into 2026, there is also a lot of growing importance around sustainability. This isn't just a buzzword, it's here, it's happening. And our strategies need to reflect not just how business needs, but environmental and social responsibility. I think this is a really interesting topic, along with AI, that we've seen flow and developed in 2025 as we reflect into it, and we can see it as well down the line for 2026. But what do you think, Sam? What are your reflections of this year so far?
Yeah. This has been a very strange year for me, actually. So I started a new role midway through this year, and I really have felt a lot of pressure on cost. So cost is absolutely the number one thing that we've been looking at as a business. But as a byproduct of cost, you also have to look at your policies, your processes, attraction, retention. I've spent a lot of time. So I've taken a role in a tech company. So they are very tight on money. All of my potential costs need to be passed on to a client. So it's really making sure that we're efficient where we can be efficient, but we can still attract the right people into those roles, because it's quite a cutthroat environment at the moment, and the answer quite often is not, let's just throw more things at them, let's just spend more money, let's just pay more. That's not a very sustainable model. So I really spent 6 months kind of unpicking everything, every policy, every process, every element, and making sure that we're kind of getting our bang for our buck. So that has been the year for me, actually.
So Tanya Maritini, I have been, as many of you know, I know many of you, but I've been in global mobility for over 20 years. I feel so lucky to be here. And this is my favorite GMG session because we all do so much, and it's such a nice opportunity to reflect on the impact that we've made throughout the year, and then also to talk about what we have planned for the year ahead. So very excited to be here and to hear from all of you. I wanted to start off with and share a little bit about, as I was reflecting for this session, just reflecting in general over the year, some of the things that I am most excited about in making an impact. One is we've really connected with our talent team around our talent strategy around internal mobility, especially as AI is reshaping the work that our team members do. We've been integral with our workforce planning and location strategy team, which is really cool. They really think of us as a key stakeholder in the work that we're doing. And for all of you, I know, again, seat at the table, but like to be pulled into different things because different groups really see your value means so much. And then what am I really looking forward to? I just feel like everything that's happened this year, including with immigration, which we will go into, I'm sure, in some of our individual breakouts, but has really just paved the way for us to truly be a strategic partner of the business. I think they finally understand the value that we bring and the impact that we can make. So those are just, again, a few reflections to get you thinking as we move into our breakout room, but also to share just a little bit about what I'm most excited about as I think about goals going into the year. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Marissa.
Thanks, Tanya. So Marissa Johnson, I'm also a little over 20 years in the industry. I am just celebrating my 10 years at Robert Half, and kind of been through various types of law firms and other companies also. I think this has been an interesting year, and I think that from in our company, I think immigration has really taken the front seat to changing the way we do things. Also, just having our employees themselves a little antsy and anxious about international travel and about what their prospects look like. A lot of F1 students, and what do we do with them, and how are they going to, change over to H-1B in the future? So I think there's this 2025 has left a lot of uncertainty. We also have a lot of things that we've been dealing with just about ICE raids, and we specifically haven't had them, but we've had a lot of site visits, and we've had a lot of those things that people are just really nervous about. So I feel like, we're hopefully that dust will start to settle and people will feel like a little bit more normal, but that's my hope for 2026. I think one of the other big things that's been kind of ongoing probably since the start of COVID has been remote international work requests. So people, are traveling for longer periods of time. They want to continue working while they're outside of the country. And I think those, we're really trying to kind of hone in on those, making sure that people are following process and those sorts of things. And I think those, it's what Tanya was saying, having that seat at the table, making sure that people know what the process is and how we can best support the team, so that what we have currently is that a lot of people just go and, kind of ask for forgiveness later. And sometimes that doesn't actually work out in their benefit. So those are the things that we've been dealing with on our side. Ursula, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, so I think, like Tanya, when we prepare ourselves, I just did everything you guys said. It just, basically in this industry, we're all on the same boat, right? One thing I totally agree is in the past, we're trying to make ourselves to be part of, to have the seat, right? Like Marisa said, to have a seat. I mean, it's never succeeds really the way we want. And now after the immigration things happened, everybody knows who is Ursula and the team. So, which is good. And also with the 2025, with so many things going on, I think more or less we feel so stressful. Finally, the year end, but then the year end comes is more stressful, right? And now I have so many call with the business talking about already with the H-1B lottery. So one good thing is, again, during all these stressful things happening in the industry, we finally have our name out there. People recognize it. For 2026, I would say is I have to wear my soldier's gears, bring everything I have to get ready for any pivot that we're going to face in 2026. And I also look forward that in the global mobility industry, one thing very good is we share our experience. We have the round table that we don't hold back. We learn from each other's experience. And I look forward for the 2026 will be the same. Maybe we have different program, different population, and yet we're facing the same issues. So that's what I'm looking for. And